Hi, I'm Jim Dill from Thursday Night at the Rite. I'm so excited to welcome you to tonight's broadcast and to announce that in 2 weeks on March 3rd will be a brand new season of Thursday Night at the Rite. But that's not why we're here tonight. We have a very exciting campaign to introduce you to. So without going any farther, I want to introduce you to the Director of Marketing and Communications here at the Supreme Council, Linda Patch.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for your time and attention in tuning in tonight. We have an inspirational and beautiful campaign for Scottish Rite to share with you tonight that will be available to all of you to use personally and in your valley. But before we do that, we have a special message from illustrious Peter J. Samek, your Sovereign Grand Commander.
Several years ago, our Supreme Council launched the Path Forward program and the Not Just a Man, a Mason campaign. That campaign renewed pride among Masons and continues to help our lodges around the world. It was a truly Masonic endeavor, focusing on all brethren, not just those laboring in our particular quarry of Freemasonry. Now it's time to put this same energy and creativity to work for the Northern Masonic jurisdiction. Tonight, it's with great pleasure that we introduce you to the new campaign for Scottish Rite. Our new campaign works to do two things. It invites Master Masons to join us and journey deeper into the teachings of the craft we love. And it works to reconnect all of us who are Scottish Rite Masons with the fulfillment that comes from our 29 degrees and the brotherhood we share with other worthy like-minded men. I want to thank the actors in our videos, Masons all, whose incredible acting talent you'll experience throughout the broadcast. We're proud to showcase each and every one of them. And to my brothers and guests tuning in, thank you for your time and attention this evening. This campaign is just the first step in a rich new chapter of the Scottish Rite experience. There's much more to reveal in the coming months, so stay tuned. To all of you, be well, be safe, God bless you all, and enjoy the show.
Thank you, Commander, for those words, and thank you for your support. Now I'd like to introduce you to my friend and our brother, Len Ciccone, our partner from Ciccone Brown.
Thanks, Jim. It's terrific to be here, and I can't help think that what we're about to show is 7 years, really 7 years in the making. And it goes back to when we first started working together and the path forward. And, you know, something, Linda, I know that you've kept us focused on is from the data.
Yeah, that's right. I think having the experience of watching these videos gets a little bit richer if we set a little bit of context of the history of how this came to be. And we began in 2016 with that major body of research and survey work that we did that launched the Path Forward, the Not Just a Man, a Mason campaign that I'm sure that many, if not all of you, are familiar with. And that was a campaign that Scottish Rite was certainly able to deploy and use for its own promotion and visibility, but it was designed to also raise the profile of Blue Lodge Masonry, which it has done amazingly. It is now translated into Portuguese and Spanish and German, and believe it or not, Afrikaans. It's used all over the world. The strategic plan, a strategic marketing plan, however, always was leading to this moment. It was always leading to building a campaign for Scottish Rite in particular.
Right, if you think about it, Jim, I'm sure you remember too, is in some of those early meetings when the data showed us that if we just captured the essence of Masonry the right way, that men would want to join. It is modern, it's timeless. But at that, it's funny, we looked back at it, and some of those early presentations, it was all in there of the progression of things, and including, you know, we didn't know it was going to be called beafreemason.org, the website, but we knew we needed that front door to Masonry. We knew that we needed, you know, more things for the current Scottish Rite membership. Hope Grad Academy came from that. You know, the way that the communications changed to the membership. But we always knew that there would come a day that we needed to kind of continue on that path, if you will, to really focus on what is special, what is unique about Scottish Rite, and how that fits into the Masonic life.
You know, one of the things that I always look at, being privileged to work on the media team, the media side of the house, we're always focused on the art and putting out as good a product as we can, but in the end, it's only good product because the data was there.
That's right.
We were always true to the data. We never turned away from it, even when it was uncomfortable.
Well, a good idea needs to be grounded in what a service, an organization, a product is. Not what you want it to be, not just a great idea, what it already is, and reflecting that, the specialness of that. And that's what makes good creative work.
That's right. And that's why Not Just Amanda Mason has been so successful, and why we feel confident that this will be as well. Yeah. Because it's grounded in a reflection of what the organization actually is. We didn't make it up. It's just not a cute tagline. We didn't pull it out of thin air. We actually worked with the creative team, Josh Kaplan, our tremendous creative director out of Saucony Brown, who has come up with these concepts for us. We dig into the data with him and really pull out the essence of what we're trying to reflect back to the organization. And that's been the key to the success.
We should see it.
We should see it.
I'm dying to see it again.
But as brothers, let's set it up a little bit.
All right.
When you become a Mason, where does it begin?
In your heart.
And being the traveling men that you are, it led us to the tagline, Jim, which is
Journey on. And let's do that. Let's journey on.
The journey begins in the heart, always in the heart. It starts as a feeling, the inspiration that your path is different. The path not just of a man, but of a Mason. For hundreds of years, Masons have been traveling men. The path of the ancient stonemasons is marked by the world's great cathedrals and other monuments in stone. Today, Masons continue the path of the ancient traveling men, our path to the east, marked by the degrees of our craft. Entered apprentice, fellow craft, master mason. At each step, more secrets are revealed, more lessons learned. For some, even as a master mason, the heart of the traveler is not yet still. The road still calls. We are the men of Scottish Rite Freemasonry, select, worthy, and deeply bound by our core values: integrity, service to humanity, justice, tolerance, devotion to country, and reverence for God. As Scottish Rite Freemasons, we continue to push to the east and more light. We journey on, answering the call to grow as noble craftsmen. We journey on, knowing that as Scottish Rite Masons, there is always more to feel, to share, to strive for. Do you feel the call of Scottish Rite Freemasonry? Look inside for the answer. The journey begins in the heart, always in the heart. Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Journey on.
I feel the same way I did the first time I saw a Not Just a Man, a Mason video. It touches me as a Freemason. It makes me proud to be a Scottish Rite Mason and a Freemason. I get really deeply emotional every time I watch it.
That's the point. That's what we want. And you know, as much as we talked earlier about how the data is, you know, the driver, when you really come down to it, as you know, when you have to come up with a concept, it really is a blank page. And so on this one, what we did is just to start to write, and started with that phrase, which I'll never forget being asked, you know, where did you first become a Mason? And it's quite a moment when someone asks you that, and you realize, truly, It wasn't when I first walked into the lodge. It was long before that. It was in the heart. Started with that, and it ended up with the phrase of journey on. And when we shared it with you guys and then we refined it, we realized that this is a manifesto. This is an expression of what Scottish Rite is, and its unique place in the journey of men, but the journey of Masonic men. And now that manifesto actually still exists today. It was never meant to be something that, it was supposed to be just a guide to create, but we liked it so much, it's available. People can actually read it and see it and use it.
Right, that beautiful manifesto, those words that you just heard in the Journey on Anthem video, they're available, and it's a frameable poster that we have available on the website for everyone. And I just want to make a point about what we did for Not Just a Man, a Mason and for this campaign for Scottish Rite, is that it works on two levels. It works to attract the Master Mason, who we know from the data is looking for more. They're looking to extend that experience and to go deeper into the tenets of the craft. And it also works on the level of inspiring that pride in men who are already part of the Scottish Rite. So we're very pleased that we're able to, again, hit those two marks of being able to attract the Master Mason, the worthy man, to come into Scottish Rite, and to also reconnect with the membership in that sense of pride and connection.
Yeah, and Jim, it did it, right?
I am amazed. I never thought we would be able to improve on Not Just a Man, a Mason. It means something so personal to all of us since we were there at the beginning.
Yes.
But Journey On, I believe that we learned a lot from Not Just a Man, a Mason, and we're going to actually have a stronger campaign with Journey On. I think it's a beautiful piece.
The anthem is, and this brings us into the whole next part of the campaign. The full campaign in terms of videos are actually 7 separate pieces. The anthem video, which you just saw, and now we move into the videos that we created for each of the core values. And why don't you say a little bit about what the tone and what they're meant to accomplish?
Well, for me, what it does is it really brings the journey and the purpose of being in the Scottish Rite to life, in the sense that it's not about the ritual. It's not only, I should say, about the ritual. It's not only about the degrees. Those exist for our own personal journey, becoming better people, better dads, better people at business, better people in the community, and being the best guy that we can be, guided by these values. And so, these are everyday moments. That's what's powerful for me, is that they're just, if you look at them, there's really not anything special about the moment itself, and that's what makes it real. Because when you take those values and put them into action, it's every moment of your day, every interaction that you have, and that's what makes the journey powerful and something that we grow with.
I think this program is going to help the valleys in many ways, because I've been involved in stage in the valley. I've been involved in degree videos. We never really zoom in on what that core value is. We just accept that the core value would just come through for the actors, but now we're saying the core values matter. We need to find ways as Scottish Rite Masons, as all people really, but as Scottish Rite Masons, to take those values, like we'll see in a second, devotion to country. How do we put that in play in our daily life?
And that's what we were very focused on doing. We had conversations about what level to take these videos in terms of the core values, because they're really quite high order. The devotion to country can be storming the beach at Normandy. It can be reverence for God, can be martyrdom. I mean, these really can exist at that level, but it was the expression of them in everyday life that really seemed to be actually the most powerful way to do it for this fraternity.
Well, it's the most meaningful, and it's what I think Masons really strive for, is in those everyday moments.
Right.
That's the measure of a man, is how you react how you behave and react when sometimes nobody's watching.
Yeah. So let's take a look at this core value, devotion to country.
devotion to country. Just one of 6 core values that makes a Scottish Rite Mason a Scottish Rite Mason. Journey on.
You know, when I see that, I have to ask you, Jim, with someone, you know, with a background in the military, extraordinary, really, military service, when you see that flag, when you see that devotion to country, when you see that dad and the son, especially today, you know, what is that, how do you feel when you see that?
Well, you know, and we've talked about this a lot in our personal lives, Len, because, you know, we've traveled as Masons. I think patriotism is not reserved for military people, but I think when you reflect on your sacrifice and the sacrifice of the band of brothers and sisters that was with you, I think it takes on a whole new weight. It's not, I don't look at it anymore with just as stars in my eyes. There's a weight to it because it comes with sacrifice and it comes with us all together lifting the burden of our democracy.
Well, when you see that little kid who's not thinking anything about that, he's just with his dad and in the proud moment of the dad and the son, I mean, that must get you.
Yeah, it does, because, you know, I am a father, and I have to tell you, those are the moments, and I think we searched for it in this piece. Those are the moments. It wasn't a scripted thing. They're just a moment with a dad and a son, and hopefully there's a lesson, an important lesson that's being learned.
We have something also special to share. The dad in the video, Joffrey Smith, Brother Smith, has a lovely articulation of his own, of how he came to devotion to country and the circumstances around that. So let's take a look at it right now.
Yeah, when I really learned devotion to country was important to me was back in 2001. I was working as an intern in New York City in the World Trade Center. And I was working for Morgan Stanley there. I was on the 62nd floor of the World Trade Center. And luckily in September, I'd just gone back from my senior year of college. And that's when 9/11 happened. One of the greatest tragedies and terrorism that we've had in this country. And that really impacted me, that we really need to unite as a country when we have, you know, terrorists trying to destroy us. And that just showed us that we can all come together. And that's when I saw right after 9/11, when everybody had American flags out of their cars, at their houses. I've never seen so many American flags everywhere. And that really hit home for me, especially from, you know, being there in the World Trade Center just a couple weeks prior to 9/11 happening, that I was excited to see us all come together and patriotism showing. And I think we can never let that go, especially, you know, now that we become such a global society. We have to be proud to be American, be proud of the values that we have here. And I think that just extends to Masonry.
Thank you, Brother Smith. Thank you for sharing that from your heart. Now we want to move to the next core value, and we shot it in Fitchburg, Massachusetts at a Masonic lodge. It will speak for itself as you watch this video. Service to humanity.
Service to humanity. Just one of 6 core values that makes a Scottish Rite Mason a Scottish Rite Mason. Journey on.
Our scouting team, as we started putting these videos together, was all over the state. But Service to Humanity came right back to Freemasonry. They didn't have to look too far, because that piece was actually in a real soup kitchen, in a real Masonic lodge, and brothers in Fitchburg, Massachusetts dedicate their time to service to humanity. And
the reason it's a simple concept, but it's one that really hit home, I think, in its effectiveness, was a really nice moment I had with Paul Gleason, who's the as you know, the past Grand Master of Massachusetts, and we previewed the campaign for him. And when it was over, he grabbed me by the arm and he said, "It's what Masons do."
It is what we do. And when I think of one of the things I'm most proud of being a 32nd degree Mason, a Scottish Rite Mason, is the work that we do through the Grand Almoners Fund.
Absolutely.
It is extraordinary.
I have a special connection to it. Not only does the Almoners Fund provide, as we know, financial relief when it's needed most, but there was a moment when Commander Samek, then our Grand Almoner, reached out to my husband, who's also a 32nd degree Mason, and asked if he could help organize a group of Masons who could provide some care and comfort to a veteran who was alone and facing literally the last days of his life. This just exploded into a 200-mile radius of Masons coming from all over to visit, his name was Vinny, to visit Vinny at the nursing home at the time and to take shifts and to read him stories and to take him outside when he could, bringing special meals. In fact, one of the brothers' mother-in-law got involved and made meatballs for him on a regular basis because he liked them, and it became a huge community of people who came together in this bit of service, and it was a beautiful thing to see.
Well, as I watched it, it was impactful, it was beautiful, and it is what we Masons do. And for any of you brothers who are fortunate enough to be on the giving side of a gift, you'll never forget it. So get involved. Let's take a look at our next core value, tolerance. And Brother Kurt Staven is going to introduce it for us.
Today in this lovely park, I was filming a scene about tolerance. I was playing a Jewish man playing chess against an Arab man. And although it looked like we were having some kind of argument, in effect, we were just enjoying an intense game of chess and really having fun in the process. I have met so many different people in Masonry who come from different backgrounds. Yeah, we can all get together and play games or do fundraisers or march in parades and have a great time. And it's just that kind of experience you don't get anywhere else. That kind of mingling of different backgrounds, different statuses, different religions, different political ideas, whatever. It all comes together and we're having fun. We're making good things happen. It's really a great organization.
Tolerance. Just one of 6 core values that makes a Scottish Rite Mason a Scottish Rite Mason. Journey on.
Linda, when we were on the shoot, we almost didn't get to shoot this next piece. We had a kind of a crisis happen. There's a funny story, though, how we actually did pull it off.
It is a story of the universe provides. You can see from this video that it's a beautiful day. We're in a park in Lynn, Massachusetts, but what you don't see is that it's just barely 7 a.m. by this point. This is an early morning setup. Everything is ready to go. The actors are there, and we're ready to shoot, and we discover that the wardrobe person had made a mistake, and she forgot to bring the kufi, the black hat worn traditionally by Muslim men, as it turns out, in Morocco. And you know from Brother Staven's intro that there's a tension set up here. And the video just doesn't work without the wardrobe happening. And Jim and I are shutting down the shoot because it's just not going to work without this this headgear.
And then meanwhile, everyone back in the office is calling every hat shop in New England to see if we can get a hat. And of course, it's 7 a.m. And they said, sure, but we open at 11.
Right, and there's actually a mosque in Lynn, Massachusetts, as it turns out. There's a Walmart that claims to have kufi available, but again, it's 7 a.m. What happened is, literally a lovely woman taking her morning walk in a hijab comes over, and she happens to find me and ask what all the activity is and what was going on. And we told her a bit, about the shoot and the Masons, and in particular what this video was about. And she just lit up and said, I will go home and get my husband's kufi. I will do anything to support bringing people together. And she was really pleased to hear about the, what the Masons stood for and how it brings, men together regardless of color and creed. And she did.
And her kind action kept the whole film going.
I mean, what are the odds?
There are no odds, really.
I know, no odds,
crazy.
really. It was, so we did bring her some flowers and great expression of gratitude at the end of the day, but that's what made this video possible. Mm-hmm. And now we want to take you to the next core value, and we really don't need to introduce it. Brother Mike Cook, who is one of the actors in this video, does it perfectly, and we'll allow him to take you to the next core value, integrity.
My character is honest man, and if I do say so myself, they cast me perfect for it. But I find a wallet in the road, I pick it up, I see there's money in it, I take it away, and then I come in after and I return it to the man who dropped it. I think it all starts with having a good conscience. I think that's the number one thing in Freemasonry is trust and doing the right thing. And that starts even before you become a Mason.
Can I help you?
Thank you.
Integrity. Just one of 6 core values that makes a Scottish Rite Mason a Scottish Rite Mason. Journey on.
To me, this is probably the most important to me personally, is integrity. Because it really is something that informs everything, every moment of the day. And in that video, we expect him to do the right thing because he's a Mason. But not everyone does, and nobody's watching, and no one will be the wiser. And I think that's the thing about integrity. It's what you expect and what you strive from yourself.
Right. You may recall back in Lodge of Instruction when I was giving you instruction as a,
I do.
as a young Mason. That whole core value, integrity, is rooted in our Masonic belief in truth, brotherly love, relief, and truth. Without truth, there is no integrity, and it goes back. So that's really tied back into our original Masonic teachings.
Well, Scottish Rite that's exactly what it is, isn't it? And you mentioned it earlier. It's the continuation of the Blue Lodge Masonry. Blue Lodge Masonry never goes away. Mm-hmm. You're always a Master Mason. There's nothing more important than being a Master Mason. But for Master Masons that are looking to continue in the craft in a more formal way,
Yeah.
we're always continuing in the craft, but in a more formal way through ritual, through degree, this, to me, it works because it reminds you every time you see a degree, a new degree, and so it reminds us how to live our everyday life, with integrity and really all the values.
Well, we know the brothers are searching for that.
Yes.
And in this season of Thursday Night at the Rite, we help by taking each core value one at a time, one episode at a time, and focusing in on it with panel discussions, degrees that more often than not are created just for that particular Thursday Night at the Rite. Now, let's take a look at the next core value, reverence for God.
mote it be. Reverence for God. Just one of 6 core values that makes a Scottish Rite Mason a Scottish Rite Mason. Journey on.
You know, gentlemen, I love this video. It just reminds me of that time in my life when my children were small and running around the house, but just really taking that moment, maybe not in the same way, but really feeling that connection of gratitude and thankfulness to God for the gifts and the blessings that, you know, I have had in my life.
The thing that strikes me about it is he's by himself.
Yes.
And he's taking that moment and to what God is to him and what gratitude, and gratitude I would say is a moment that is God-like. But it does remind me of a passage in Matthew where Jesus instructs us to pray for ourselves and to pray to go into your room and close your door and pray to your Father unseen. And so, you know, it's not about doing it for pageantry or other people. It's really about what it means to you and what connection you have spiritually.
And I believe that's central to Freemasonry. So I'm privileged to be a member of a lodge that meets here in Massachusetts, and we literally have every faith and every race covered in my lodge. It really is a beautiful picture of America when you go into my lodge. But we never really speak to the fact that many of us have different faiths or come from different cultures, because at the heart of Freemasonry is that personal relationship that you have with your Creator in those private moments. That's when it becomes important. Anybody can go to church, it's a great thing. But those private moments are where the real personal relationship happens.
Right.
And we'll see another iteration of a private and personal moment expressed in our last core value, justice.
All rise for the Honorable Richard Wise.
Justice. Just one of 6 core values that makes a Scottish Rite Mason a Scottish Rite Mason. Journey on.
You know, I love this one. And I love it for 2 reasons. I love it because it's cinematic. It's like watching a little movie. It's a story, and nobody speaks. And you understand what's going on. And you understand the bit of a struggle and thought process that's going on in this guy's head. But to me, what I really love about it is you don't know until the end when he's alone. And it's kind of subtle. But then you realize he's actually a Scottish Rite Mason.
Right. And that is how we were able to take the concept of justice and interpret it in everyday life. So what you have here is a man who has an expression of his true passions, all in a moment. He just came out of the courtroom where he felt that he did the right thing, and you can tell that it's an expression of who he is from a professional point of view, from his avocation, his involvement in Masonry, and working from his true moral compass.
Absolutely.
I think it's really powerful piece, and it's the end of our core videos, but it's not the end of our campaign. We have a lot more to offer.
We do. In addition to the anthem video and the 6 core value videos, we also have an entire, what we call a print campaign. Mostly we use it digitally, but it's available. It's a headline campaign, the more traditional kind of advertising campaign that you're familiar with, and it's available on our website to be used for you in your personal use as a Scottish Rite Mason, for use in the valleys. And as we did for the Not Just a Man, a Mason campaign, there are instructions there for customization. You can, for your valley, add your URL, your call to action, so that it's really useful in terms of promotion, inviting Master Masons to join the organization, to promote events, however you would like to use it. So please feel free to visit the website and take advantage of all of these assets and materials.
And don't forget the website itself.
That's right. The website is newly refreshed with Journey On content. And this is just the beginning. As you know, Jim, Journey On is also, it's conceived of as, I think of it as an ecosystem. Mm-hmm. The campaign is the expression of what the Scottish Rite wants to bring forward in its future. And that is involving certainly responsiveness to the member and the member experience and member service. And stay tuned, because in the coming months we have some really tremendously rich and new and deep programming and experiences coming your way.
But it's really only possible because starting with
Right.
Commander McNaughton, moving on to Commander Glatley, and now with Commander Samick, we have such support and such enthusiasm about touching our members in this way.
Right.
That's right. I mean, we could not have done this without the complete support of the Commander's Office and the entire active membership of the Scottish Rite.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you know, in the business we're going to call this a wrap, but it's not. It's just the beginning. It's the end of the video presentations for this evening. I want to share with you, though, some of the excitement that was going on as we put this piece together, as we were out in the different sets that you saw this evening.
It's a behind-the-scenes video, and it takes you there. You can have a bit of the experience of what it was like to be on set, and also the most important part of this video we're going to leave you with is the expression of the actors and the emotion that came through in being part of this project.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that's how you start to feel like you're onto something when you're there and you can see how it's really touching people who are there. And you see it in the actors, but this goes back to even not just a man of Mason. We've even had crew members petition to become Masons because they were exposed to like the true essence of what it is.
Exactly.
I remember one of the videos that we shot once in the earlier series. We were visibly moved on the set. We realized,
wow,
we got it.
We got it.
Yeah, we realized that. So we've said all the things we need to say. I'd like to share with you now the behind the scenes. Journey On.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
The values of Freemasonry resonate in all of us, or they should. Brotherly love, relief, and truth should be everybody's. Everybody should have those tenets in their heart and be able to express them. I think they've been ingrained in me from day one, and just Freemasonry let me show them.
My Masonic journey, like most Masons, started long before I ever entered a lodge. That's why when we answer the question, where were you first made a Mason? The answer is in your heart. And that was the first line that was written on the page to begin the exploration into this campaign. And we realized it's about that journey. It's about the journey before you were a Mason as a man, and how Masonry brings you to a certain level of awareness and how that journey continues. And it never ends.
Journey On comes just in the nick of time. As Freemasonry moves into a new generation of young men, we need to find ways to make our education more meaningful and more relevant in their lives. Journey On is a continuation of our Not Just a Man campaign to help us put in perspective and understand why we are Freemasons and Scottish Rite Masons.
The one value of Masonry that I really try to keep close to my heart is being the best person you can be, even when no one's around you watching you.
For me, I think it's more honor. Without honor, what else do you have? Really putting family, the lodge, my community, God first. Not so much myself, but that.
I think it all starts with having a good conscience. the #1 thing in Freemasonry is trust and doing the right thing. And that starts even before you become a Mason.
The ideals that Masonry espouses simply makes you a better person. And as a result, it's a much more satisfying and gratifying journey through life.
I was interested in Freemasonry for a very long time, and I just happened to have the opportunity to join a local lodge in my town. And going through those degrees were absolutely wonderful. But I was looking for more.
I became a Master Mason, and then I went up through the ladder and became a 32nd degree Scottish Rite Mason myself. And now that I've been a part of it for a number of years, I'm glad I did. I've got to form some great lifelong relationships, and I look forward to many more years as a Mason.
The formative time when we become an entered apprentice, fellow craft, and then raised as a Mason, it's exciting and it's challenging. And then the degrees for us personally, they're over. So anyone who feels like there's something more I'm looking for, there's something I want to continue in a more formal way, then that's what Scottish Rite is. With 29 additional degrees, Scottish Rite allows us to continue to move to the East, continue to gather wisdom, to gather understanding, and to go further and further in the craft and further in bettering ourselves.
I hope for the Freemasons that are watching this, who are still on that path and still searching as these traveling men, that this video will help remind them and inspire them to move forward in the next chapter in their life.
Oh. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was really good. Having worked with the Masons for 4 years now, I feel like we've really developed a shorthand and a deep understanding of the values that make the Masons so great. It's one of the longest running partnerships I've had in my career, and certainly the most important.
We're creating this campaign now for Scottish Rite because it's time. There is a world of men out there. They're looking for their identity group. They're looking for their tribe to belong to. I hope people take away an understanding that Freemasonry and the Scottish Rite live up to their promise.
The sense of brotherhood is something that's actually very hard to explain. All races, all creeds, all background. You have 18 years old to 105 years old. And the second you give the obligation, you become a brother to all those individuals. And it's mind-blowing. Cut that out, please.